The evolutions as a whole are a fan favorite amongst Pokemon fans, and I learned the hard way not to mess with evolution fans after the worst Pokemon Glaceon video. However, since we do a lot of worst and best Pokemon type videos on the channel, I've always wanted a way to work in some Pokemon that are just in the middle of the pack. Pokemon that aren't considered terrible, but at the same time aren't considered some of the best Pokemon out there. That is where this new series comes in, sort of, where we discuss Pokemon that were once really common in the competitive Pokemon metagames, but have since fallen from grace. Now keep in mind, this series, as well as the best/worst Pokemon series, analyze Pokemon from a competitive perspective and not by their use in-game against gym leaders and things like that. Any Pokemon can be good while you're playing through the game, this is just for competitive battles. In this episode, we will talk about the speedy electric type Pokemon Jolteon. Jolteon has been an OU powerhouse up until Generation 5 and has even been prevalent in some VGC formats in the past. However, ever since Generation 6, Jolteon hasn't been as good as it once was. It was never nerfed or anything like that, but what happened to cause a Pokemon that was as prevalent as Jolteon to fall from grace so quickly? Before we talk more about Jolteon, just make sure you click that like button if you want to support the channel, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. It helps the channel grow, and if you guys like this sort of stuff, I will totally make videos like this again in the future. Now to give a brief overview on Jolteon, Jolteon is a mono electric type Pokemon introduced in Generation 1 with the abilities Quick Feet and Volt Absorb. These are both pretty useful abilities in their own right, as Volt Absorb gives you a nice electric immunity, while Quick Feet can be used to make Jolteon even faster than it already is. Jolteon has a stat distribution of 65 in HP, 65 in attack, 60 in defense, 110 in special attack, 95 in special defense, and 130 in speed. This isn't all that great defensively, however 130 speed on top of a very solid 110 special attack stat is very workable. One thing that has always held Jolteon back a bit, however, is the move pool, as it has pretty limited coverage options, which is typical for the evolutions. The crazy thing about Jolteon though is even though it has fallen off quite a bit, over the years since Generation 1 it has only gotten better. What I mean by this is it didn't change much from Generation 1 to Generation 2 outside of the special attack and special defense split, which didn't really lower its special defense by that much, and then in Generation 3 when abilities were introduced it received Volt Absorb as its only ability at the time, which is a very good ability to have. In Generation 3, Jolteon's move pool was even more limited as Shadow Ball, one of Jolteon's most viable coverage options in Generation 7, was a physical move at the time. Now in Generation 3, unlike today, all moves of the same type were either considered physical or special move despite what move it was. What I mean by this is prior to Generation 4, every single ghost type attack was physical, while every water move was special, and so on and so on. This was thankfully changed in Generation 4, while Jolteon continued to shine. In Generation 4, Shadow Ball was changed to a special move, and so were all of the hidden powers. Jolteon also got access to Signal Beam in this generation, which gave Jolteon access to a slightly wider special move pool, as well as some new items to use such as Life Orb and Choice Specs, which are both very good items for Jolteon to use. Now moving on to Generation 5, this was Jolteon's last generation in the OU tier, where it also arguably received its greatest buff with the introduction of the move Volt Switch. Volt Switch is a fantastic move to have on Jolteon, or any electric type for that matter, as it allows to do some damage while being able to switch out. Jolteon also received Quick Feet in this generation, which isn't as good as Volt Absorb, but is still a good ability to have. And now moving on to Generation 6, and this is where Jolteon began to decline. In 6th generation, we received the likes of Heliolisk and Mega Manectric, which many players decided to use over Jolteon. In Generation 5, we also got some nice speed electric types as well, such as Thundurus and Galvantula, which lessens Jolteon's popularity by a little bit. Although Heliolisk is slower than Jolteon, it does have a wider move pool with access to things like Surf, Grass Knot, Focus Blast, on top of Stab Hyper Voice, as well as an immunity to Ghost due to its part normal typing and an immunity to Water, but an added weakness to Fire thanks to the Dry Skin ability. It's also worth mentioning that in the 6th generation, Heliolisk was UU, while Jolteon fell all the way down to the RU tier. Mega Manectric was another big reason why people stopped using Jolteon as much. Mega Manectric was so new, so of course people will gravitate towards using the newer things, and it also had access to higher speed, higher special attack, and comparable bulk. Pre-Mega Evolution, it also had access to Lightning Rod, which is a very similar ability to Volt Absorb, and once you Mega Evolve, you get Intimidate, which helps it a lot from a defensive standpoint. Although Mega Manectric is forced to hold the Mega Stone as its only item, Mega Manectric has access to fire moves as well, such as Overheat, to assist it against steel types, which is something that Jolteon has always struggled against. Outside of that, Jolteon didn't really receive any nerfs or notable buffs in this generation, It was just all the new Pokemon coming out that effectively power crept Jolteon. Moving on to Generation 7, and unfortunately not much has really changed for Jolteon. We now have Z-moves, which are cool, however due to Jolteon's move pool, it really isn't the best Pokemon to utilize Z-moves. We also got even more electric types in this generation, with the likes of Xurkitree, Tapu Koko, and the new Pokemon Zeraora. These three Pokemon are all arguably better than Jolteon, which lessened Jolteon's popularity a little more. In the end, Jolteon is still a very good Pokemon despite peaking in Generation 5 and falling ever since. It is still a very reliable electric type capable of giving your team a lot of chip damage and momentum with Volt Switch. It was just unfortunately unable to keep up with the release of newer electric type Pokemon such as Raikou, Tapu Koko, and Heliolisk. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about Jolteon, and also let me know which Pokemon you would like to see featured in this series in the future. Thank you guys so much for watching, have a good rest of your day, I will see you guys next time, and bye bye!